In 1 month, the UFC is headed to Vancouver. There was supposed to be a title elimination bout, but Fluffy got hurt, and now we have RDR versus Brendan Allen. The question becomes, if RDR beats Brendan Allen, does he still earn himself a shot at the title, or is the noticeable step down in competition removing him from the equation? My name is Angelo. This is Josh Thompson, and welcome to Bad Takes. Josh, it's a bit of a blow. If you remember, the UFC said, okay, we're going to have two different, very important middleweight fights, and whoever wins their fight in more spectacular fashion will fight Khamzat Chimaev next. We had Nasruddin beat Caio, and now we're supposed to have RDR beat Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez has the longest active win streak in this division, but he's hurt. He's out, so they threw Brendan Allen in, and I get it. Brendan Allen's a staple of the division. Brendan Allen's good. But Brendan Allen's like 3-2 in his last 5. Brendan Allen has a couple of recent losses. Brendan Allen is 1-2 in his last 3. He just beat Marvin Vettori. Before that, he lost to Fluffy. He lost to Imavov. So does beating Brendan Allen still put RDR in a position to get the title? Or is it like, nope, sorry, that's not a good enough win to leapfrog what Nasruddin just did?
I think it really comes down to how RDR wins the fight. He should be able to I don't want to say like destroy him, but if you're getting ready for that title shot and you're taking a step down competition, which I don't look at Brendan Allen as too much of a step down. Now I know that he lost to Fluffy, okay, and I know that he's kind of always made his way back up and then drops back down, makes his way back up. He wins 2 or 3 and then he loses 1. Wins 2 or 3, and so he's always kind of gaining ground a little bit. He puts himself in these positions though. He is a gamer. He's somebody that will bring the action. He is a little bit different than Fluffy in terms of how he tries to get it done. Fluffy is that dog, will walk you forward and just land blows. And if you do try to take him down, he'll stuff your takedowns, he'll threaten the submissions. Brendan Allen has all of those tools and weapons as well. He just hasn't been able to put it all together in these big time fights. Now, I look at RDR and I think to myself, if you walk through him and say, in 2 rounds, in a 5-round fight, I think potentially that they had him give, because like I said, we've always said this. You got to strike while the iron's hot for the UFC. If I match him up against someone else and he ends up losing in the UFC, then what? Like, how do I promote that? How do I promote this guy now moving forward to fight for the title? I'd rather have him lose to my champion coming from another organization as a champion, a 2-division champion, to 185 and 205, and even fought for the heavyweight title over there in 1 championship. You can market that. I can say he's undefeated in the UFC. He's done all these great things, came from an organization, our champion beat him. So we'll try to get him in there as best we can. If he does win, I think he has to win, though. He has to get some sort of finish. I think unless it's like a total knockdown, slobber knocker like him and Whitaker was, I think he ends up probably jumping Imavov and getting the shot at the title.
Yeah, and I think it's a twofold answer, because if the question is, does he deserve the title shot with a win over Brendan Allen? Probably not when you compare his resume to what Nasruddin's done. Nasruddin's been in the UFC longer, fought the higher level of competition. RDR beat Robert Whitaker. That's a great win. He beat an untested Bo Nickel. He beat Kevin Holland, who we all know has no takedowns. And he beat Gerald Mearshart, who is now cut from the organization. So if he deserves it with that win streak, probably not. Should the UFC do it? That's a different question. And I think yes, because I agree. I think marketing-wise, the power of the name, I think more people, and I could be wrong, I know everybody loves Fluffy, but he's no longer in the equation. I think more people would care about and watch RDR versus Chimaev than Nasruddin Imavov. Because to your point, we've seen Imavov lose. We've seen him lose in the UFC. Sean Strickland walked him down and broke him. We've seen him have issues with people. We've seen him be boring. All we've ever seen from RDR was finishes, exciting fights. He's tremendous. There's a lot of unknowns. So I think marketing-wise, that's the bigger fight. But if he just beats Brendan Allen, pretty straightforward win, he doesn't deserve the title shot. Not when you're comparing him to Imavov, who has put together the better body of work the last couple of years. But I personally, of those 4, it was Caio, Imavov, Anthony Hernandez, and RDR. Of the 4, Imavov is my least favorite. Like, as far, he's not very exciting. Like his last couple of fights were a little better, but he's not very exciting. He's not very, so I would have, RDR is my number 1, then Fluffy, then Caio, then Imavov. So if the UFC says, all right, listen, RDR just beat the hell out of a perennial top 10 guy. He's undefeated in our organization. He looks good. He's getting the next title shot. Let's do Imavov versus Fluffy. That would be fine with me.
Do you not take into consideration any of the work that he did before he came to the UFC? Two title shots or two championship belts in another organization. Like, I think there has to be something said about that. You have to give that some credence. You have to say like, hey, even though Imavov's got all these wins in the UFC, that's great. He's got lost in the UFC, but RDR's come over from another organization as a 2 division champion, and he's undefeated in the UFC. And he, like, you've got to give some like notoriety to that. If you're the organization, you have to go like, look, okay, like I can also build on this. Like he was a champ in all the other shows, came over, became champ here. I can market that. And then on top of that, I can also say, like, if he does lose in my title shot, then I can say, yeah, our champion was able to be a 2 division champion from another organization. I've seen this time and time again, multiple times. Like everyone seems to have forgot that Kayla Harrison came from the PFL.
Yeah,
She's
but
UFC
because they remember that Kaya Sakura was a world champion. They remember that Patchy Mix was a world champion. That's the problem. There's too many, I don't want to say failures, but there's too many giant champions in our organizations that come over and get smoked.
Mhm.
That I don't think people give any credit whatsoever to being a champion in another organization. Unfortunately.
So then should we not we don't give any credit then either? Because I notice we actually don't give any credit when the old champions go to other organizations and lose. Anthony Pettis went over to PFL.
Correct.
Okay, Benson Henderson went over to Bellator, lost. You've got and I'm not knocking them. They're two of the best.
Yeah, of course.
But it just simply put, like you've got to give the same credence when they go somewhere else.
Typically,
like, the excuse is always, oh, well, they're on the way out the door. They're getting older.
But that is true. That is literally the timeline. The UFC's done with you. Move on. Where the UFC, when they get somebody, for the most part, they're in their prime. Patchy Mix was prime, was he not?
Yeah, Patchy Mix right now he's 31 years old. He lost a year and a half, pretty much a year and a half of inactivity, though. He lost that time. So trying to come back on a short notice.
Kaya Sakura was in his prime. That dude's 0-2.
Kaya Sakura is an issue. Like that is a problem. So I've noticed that. But if you also notice, they are more one-dimensional fighters. Patchy Mix being more one-dimensional, but still very, very, very talented. I want to see like guys how Horiguchi does. Look, I there's no excuse for what happened with Pico. Just got caught, whatever it is. But like I said,
he wasn't a champ though. But I agree with you. He was not a champ though. But yeah,
he wasn't. No, there was talk he was going to fight for the title and never came to fruition. But there was talk he was going to do it. I'm not trying to defend the guys that have come over. I'm just saying, like, if you're a promoter, do you give these fighters the credence they deserve? Do you give them the credit they deserve to come on over? And when they do come over, like, okay, look, they've got the body of work somewhere else that I can market and use. Don't get me wrong. The UFC, once they bought Strikeforce, they were 100% on board with saying former world champion Josh Thompson fighting. Gilbert Melendez, former world champion, Gilbert Melendez fighting because they own that organization. Same thing with Pride. They do the same thing with Dan Henderson. They do the same thing with all these other guys that came over for Pride. They say, oh, former champion for Pride. They use that as a marketing tool. Let's not take it away from them now when they can't use it as a marketing tool. Let's give it to them and say, hey, these guys have done a body of work outside that has warranted them coming in and potentially getting a title shot if they stay undefeated. RDR stayed undefeated. Kayla Harrison undefeated. Like, give them their due. Understand that they did work before the 2-division champion. Now that they're in the UFC, he's undefeated. He just beat Robert Whitaker. They had a great fight. It was very entertaining. I'm not saying that Robert Whitaker is right now at the peak of his career, which he is not, but he's still very talented, very good, very well-rounded, very difficult to deal with, and styles make matchups. So this is one of those, I look at RDR and I think to myself, if he fights Brendan Allen and he gets a win over Brendan Allen, I think you get him right to the title shot. And I feel bad for Imavov because I've been saying for a long time that Imavov should be getting that title shot. He should have got it before Chimaev. He was the number one guy. He beat the guys at the top. Chimaev kind of got rushed to the top because of Chimaev and who he is and how he came into the scene. Which whatever. Like that's my point though. They should treat RDR the same way they treated Chimaev. Let's go ahead and leapfrog all the guys in the front because you're undefeated, because you've had success and you're an active fighter. You fight all the time.
Yeah. So RDR has 2 losses on his record. They're to one person.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same loss to one guy at 2 different weight classes, and that guy is nasty. if we look at, as I mentioned, RDR's recent body of work, it's not spectacular, right? Robert Whitaker win is a very good win, but Bo Nickel was untested. Kevin Holland has his flaws. Gerald Meerschaert has been cut. If I look at the exact same run for Nasser Imavov, he beat Kyle Barallo, who was on like a 16-fight win streak. He beat Israel Adesanya, former world champion, knocked him out. He beats Brendan Allen, perennial top 10, beats Jared Cannonier, beats Roman Dolidze. He did lose to Sean Strickland. That's a loss that a lot of people are citing, but that was 2 years ago. And certainly the overall body of work that Nasruddin put together is better. Certainly the last 5 fights that Nasruddin put together is better. But I still want RDR. I would still prefer RDR to fight for the title than Nasruddin Imavov. And it's not a slight against Nasruddin. I just love the questions about RDR is huge. How the hell is this guy so big? He can actually grapple. He's primarily a grappler. So what does that look like against Khamzat Chimaev? He's got the insane cardio. We saw with the Whitaker fight, he has no quit in him. So I am far more interested in that fight because I think if I'm just looking at the matchups, I think that Khamzat just runs through Imavov. I think he takes him down almost instantly. Brendan Allen took him down almost instantly, and Brendan Allen let him back up. You're not getting back up. Khamzat will take you down, and that's going to be a major problem immediately. So I think it's a better matchup, a more competitive matchup, and a matchup I'd rather watch.
You don't think the Imavov can survive the ground for the 1 round and then start to kind of, because we saw DDP start to have success in the 5th after holding someone down and dominating him for the full 4 rounds. Like DDP
I think
couple good exchanges in the 5th, and then but back to the wrestling. But in this token, like can Chimaev continue to take him down repeatedly for 5 rounds? And like Arman Sarukian said, he came back after the 4th. It's like, okay, look, I'm going to stand. No, keep doing what you're doing. Like he wants to fight. And will he make those right decisions come fight time? Will he stay? I'm going to stay on the game plan. Will he continue to do that? Because he's going to start losing fans if he keeps doing what he did in the DDP fight. I'm going to give him a little slack on that. To win the title the very first time you get in there and do it, it's fucking insane. Like it's so much pressure on yourself. You may never get back. So you've got to capitalize on that moment. He did what the easiest path was to winning that title, and I don't blame him for it. You can always say you were a champion. No one can ever take it from you. You achieved your goal. So whatever happens from now on, it's like, look, let me just fucking fight. Let me just fight. Will he just fight, or will he go back to just maintaining his championship? Will he just wrestle? Will he just control? Will he just, little rabbit shots, body, head? Like that's what we're going to see. Will he turn into one of those fighters and all of a sudden he's lost all of his fans? And Imavov is a dangerous fight for him in that situation.
I agree. I think the DDP fight was, I just need to win this belt. I think that's what it was. Because he has never fought like that before. He is always looking for a finish. So I think that was, and he hasn't always found the finish, but he was always looking for one. We've never seen him just get takedowns and stick to control before, ever. If people survived, they literally just survived. So I think that was, let me just get to the title. Once I get the title, I just have to get it. I have to win. So I think that's what that was. And I also think even if he is going to be the let me get to crucifix rabbit punch, I think he could do that too to Imavov. And maybe I'm not giving Imavov enough credit. I think Imavov, of those 4 in the mix, I think Fluffy, that endless cardio grinding Marab style, could be a problem for Imavov. I think Imavov is the far more talented striker, but we saw some grappling holes against Brendan Allen. I think RDR is the sloppiest of all the fighters, but he's tremendous. He has endless cardio. I think, obviously Kyle Barallo, we saw some flaws there, but maybe you want to say it's because he cut weight twice in 3 weeks and was on the other side of the world and he's too busy worrying about everybody else at the gym instead of himself. I don't know. I think there's a lot of individual factors. I don't love this Brendan Allen matchup. Like I don't care, unfortunately. Like I'm not like, ooh, this is all right. This is competitive. I don't care. I think there's other people in the top 10 at middleweight that they might have been able to throw in there instead of Brendan Allen that could have made it more interesting. But I don't love.
Give me names. Give me names. Can't just throw out something like that and not give me a name. Give me 1 or 2 names. Come on.
Of course I can. So if I look at the middleweight division, first of all, I mean, Dricus, that would be too fast of a turnaround. Sean Strickland, I don't know what his suspension deal is like. I would have preferred to see a Sean Strickland fight. Kyle Barallo obviously just fought. Roman Dolidze just fought. Robert Whitaker, he beat. Martin Vettori, he beat. Maybe a RoboCop. Maybe Paulo Costa. I know they offered him Paulo Costa, and Paulo Costa said yes, but I need it to be 3 rounds. And he said no. Yeah. He said, no, I want a full 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's better. Chris Curtis went down to welterweight. Shara Bullet, like, I just don't. I think I've seen enough of Brendan Allen to know that he's very good. He's great at nothing, decent at everything, and he'll have success in the top 10, but he's not going to beat these elite guys. So I would have preferred to see an expert at something. Sean Strickland would have been much, much better. I don't know how viable that is. Paulo Costa would have been great as well. Obviously, they couldn't make that work, but I just don't care about the Brendan Allen fight. I literally just don't care.
See, you say that he's great at everything.
Carlos Prates, give me Carlos Prates. It's 170, but move him up.
Are you
Move him up? I mean, yeah, that was a bad year, but
that was really truly a bad take. We named this show after that.
Right, I even Jared Cannonier, I would prefer. He also has endless cardio. He also moves like yeah. I just don't care about Brendan Allen in this fight.
Yes, man, I didn't realize you were such a Brendan Allen hater.
And I didn't either until this moment.
Until it started coming out of your mouth, like diarrhea. It really just look for me. I like the Brendan Allen fight. The reason being is because Brendan Allen's a very active fighter. He fights all the time. He tries to be as more active, and he's taking this on short notice. I don't know what they promised him if he is still potentially in the mix to get a shot at the title if he wins this impressively. I don't know. But I like Brendan Allen because, like you said, he's good everywhere, but not great at anything. Now there was GSP. GSP was good everywhere, but not great at anything. He wasn't a great wrestler. He was a good wrestler. He wasn't a great striker. He was a good striker, but his game plans wasn't a great.
I think he was a great wrestler. I think he was literally the best wrestler in the division. Who was better? He out wrestled Josh Koscheck, who was supposed to be the credentialed wrestler.
But he was not the best wrestler.
He was the best MMA wrestler.
And there you go. That's a big difference.
That's the only thing that matters when we're talking about fights.
No. He was not the best wrestler. But he will tell you himself. He's like, I was not the best wrestler. His timing on the takedowns was phenomenal. The way he
which then made him the best wrestler.
All of his striking set up his wrestling. So that's my point. My point is though, is that you're saying that Brendan Allen's not good at any one thing, like great at any one thing, but he's good at everything. That's a dangerous guy. That's a guy you want making a run. And I'm not saying Brendan Allen sucks. You want an active fighter. He's an active fighter. That's what they love about Fluffy Hernandez. That's what they love about RDR. That's what they love about these guys. They want to fight. Hey, calling up. When can I get my next fight? When can I get my next fight? That's what the UFC wants. Just remember, we're in a day and age where if you are not an active fighter, people don't give a shit. They're like, all right, cool. When was the last time that guy fucking fought? I remember when Peter Yan, he had like 2 fights in a year. And I was like, when the fuck was the last time he had fought? He had just fought 4 months ago. And I was like, man, that guy hasn't fought like a year. And everyone's like, you fool. Like he just fought 4 months ago. It's because we need it right here, right now. When was what was the thing that you did for me last? Like you're only as good as your last fight. What have you done for me lately? That whole saying. I'm just making up as I go here.
In basically 12 months, RDR fought last July outside of the UFC. In the UFC, within 12 months, he has 4 wins.
Yeah.
Within 12 months.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
They want guys. They want guys that will be active. Brendan Allen's willing to fight. How many times has Brendan Allen fought in the last 12 months? Twice?
Let's see. And actually, RDR, this fight gets him to 5. So 2024, April, September, 1, 2, 3. This will be his 4th.
Brendan Allen?
Yeah, this will be
his 4th. A lot. People don't realize in a 12-month period, 4 fights is a fucking lot. And
three is what you ideally want to get if you're uninjured. 4 is a lot.
Most people get 2.
Yeah.
1 or 2. That's what happens. And that's what they're looking at. They're looking at, oh, you want to fight? You're ready to go at all times? Okay, let's go. Now, I do know that there was a lot of people talking to me about how is this going to happen? RDR trains at Killcliff, and so does Brendan Allen. Well, Brendan Allen's taking his camp to Chicago. I don't know if it's with Bilal, but all I heard is he's taking his camp to Chicago. So he will not be training at Killcliff in Florida. He will be going to a new gym, separating himself, which I believe he's already done. And now he's over there in Chicago training right now. So I would believe if you're going to Chicago, obviously the best gym there is.
I don't know how many gyms there are, but it's got to be the one with the former world champion. Right, 2 former world champions, because Juliana Pena's there too.
Yep.
I mean, and that is an interesting dynamic. I'm sure they've trained together, but that, trained together and fighting each other are different things,
Absolutely.
Right? And then it is interesting because Brendan Allen's the OG Killcliff guy, and RDR is the newer one to the mix. But RDR was also the one that was booked, was on the card. They were already focusing on him. They can't just pivot and be like, oh, we actually like him more, so you're out. They got to stick with that. And Brendan, hey, man, there's a conflict here, and you're the new guy on the block with the conflict.
No, it's not looked at it that way. I understand where you're coming from, but I do know I have the inside sources on this. Let me go ahead and drop some knowledge for you, okay?
Oh, here we go.
It just comes down to, there was supposed to be Kamaru Usman was supposed to fight somebody from that gym. I can't remember who. Oh, Shavkat. There was a lot of talk that fight was going to happen. They actually had a conversation about it at Kill Cliff saying, okay, look, Usman will come in and train at this time with these group of guys, and then Shavkat will come in this time and train with these group of guys. So then they will separate the camps and basically come at different times. That's all it was. Look, Killcliff does a great job considering how much talent they have in there and working through those kinks. Henry Hoof does a great job of leading those guys and just telling them, hey, look, I'm here to be your coaches. I'm going to be the coach on both sides. I just won't corner one side or the other. I think of what it comes down to. And sometimes the other fighter, I believe one fighter had told him, go ahead and coach him, go ahead and corner him. Doesn't bother me. I know you're still our coach. Doesn't bother me. And they've had times where Henry still coached the other guy. So I believe he's also was told that he could coach the other guys. Like, no, I'm going to actually stay out of this one because it's a little too close to home. So he's been involved in these situations several times. He handles it like a true professional. This gym is run like a true business, but also too, they all have a good relationship in terms of this is the way that we should do it. And we have a discussion about it. And then they separate management's talk because they're separate managers and they get it sorted out and they make sure that it works for both parties. The fact that Brendan Allen went to Chicago, I think that's fantastic. You've completely separated yourself from your opponent. There's nothing that can be talked about or buzzed about, whatever it is. And now you're getting a different look with a different set of coaches. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's not like he lives there. He doesn't live in Florida, so it's not like, he has to travel there for his camps anyway. So it's like, I'm either traveling here or I'm traveling there. Let me travel to this other gym to figure it all out. It is an interesting dynamic.
At this stage, he can bring one or two of his guys from Killcliff. Be like, hey, man, can I use you? Can you come up and just stay with me? Or can I put you in a hotel? Whatever it is. That's happened with me several times with Frankie Edgar, with Yves Edwards, guys like that. I've got Rob McCullough. I used to fly down and travel out to train with them all the time, and just stay in a hotel or stay with them, at their house. So, you have options. I mean, Brendan Allen's got options. Stay in Chicago, live there or whatever it is, and do my camp there, and then bring some of the guys from Killcliff that will stay with me throughout the whole camp and potentially even go corner me. So I think it's good. I'm glad he has another avenue for him to go to, and he feels comfortable in. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting fight. I mean, I'm looking forward to the fight in that I want to see what RDR does. I don't love the matchup. I understand how we ended up with that matchup because outside of Sean Strickland, everybody else has recently lost or RDR already beat them. So I understand how we ended up with Brendan Allen. I would have preferred Sean Strickland. I don't know how possible that is because he is suspended right now for hitting that dude in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I'm looking forward to it in that I want to continue to see the middleweight division move forward. I hope, I'm not rooting against Brendan Allen, but I do hope RDR has a spectacular performance because I want him to fight for the title. So I'm going to be rooting for him to have a spectacular performance. But that wasn't the only fight that has been announced recently. If we fast forward in November, UFC 322 looks like the card of the year. UFC 322 is shaping up to be an unbelievable card. We already know the main, we already know the co-main, and now they've announced a bunch more fights. These won't even be all on the main card because this is such a deep card. We have Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez, a grappler's delight, was added to that card.
Yeah, I think you said it was a grappler's delight, but I really believe that Tracy Cortez is going to end up sprawling and brawling, utilizing her wrestling and try to keep this thing on the feet, which most people try to do with Blanchfield. I just think that she has a pretty good job of being able to achieve this goal. She does not want to end up on her back. Okay, she wants to keep this thing on her feet. She's got pretty good power in her hands. She had I know she didn't win the fight, but when she stepped up on short notice and fought Rose Namajunas, I paid attention.
Competitive.
It was competitive. I mean, she had some moments in the fight. I mean, the eyelash went flying, whatever it was. That was one of those moments. But it was overall, I thought she showed a lot that night. Coming in on short notice, being able to do what she did. She had some success in some points of the fight. And I look at this and I think to myself, this is a really good matchup. If she can control if she can control the cage If she can control and utilize her game plan to her advantage, I think she wins this fight.
Tracy?
Yeah.
No
If she
chance.
can sprawl and brawl, I think she can win this fight. Like
Yeah,
Blanchfield's not bad.
if.
Like,
I
yeah,
mean, if.
there is a lot of ifs.
It's all ifs.
There
Yeah.
is. But she's got better wrestling than a lot of those females in that weight class that Aaron Blanchfield's fought.
Correct. And Aaron Blanchfield's takedowns are not spectacular, but she's insanely aggressive on the feet. She's like a zombie, and her grappling is next level. Her grappling is very, very good. And she's essentially fighting at home. They also announced Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez. That's a striker's delight. Obviously, Gregory Rodriguez is a jiu-jitsu black belt. We have seen fights where he goes all in on the wrestling, and he actually might do that here. But this is a fun matchup between two guys that have power, can get at it on their feet. I think Rodriguez can win because he's just the more well-rounded fighter of the two. And, if he does end up in some trouble, he can just lean on the grappling. But Roman Kopylov, outside of the Paulo Costa fight where he would just walk down, has outstruck everybody he's fought.
Yeah, look, Gregory Rodriguez is a very dangerous fighter. He's got big power in his hands. He can grapple. He does tend to slow down because he uses a lot of strength, it looks like. His cardio does drop off after like rounds 2.5. Like he's in that 2.5 range into the third round. He starts slowing down. The thing with him, he's got big power. He's got a pretty damn good chin. I know he gets rocked several times, but he actually just keeps fighting and comes back. It's fantastic. Remember that time when he got that cut across his brow?
Oh, yeah. Chidi and Jakawani.
Yeah, and the fucking and
You
the,
can
and
see
the
the vein.
vein. The vein was showing. I was like, oh, can you imagine if that vein would have broke? It would have just been like,
And then he fought like a couple weeks after that. They stitched him up, and he had a pretty quick turnaround after that.
Good for him.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Got to be active though. I'm going to lean towards Gregory Rodriguez because Kopilov's confidence, I don't think right now is where it should be. And I think Gregory Rodriguez is like a guy who is not that old, but fucking looks like he's 60. Okay.
Dude, he's like 32. It is crazy how old he looks.
He looks like he's fucking 60 years old. I'm like, how in the fuck is this old guy still in there doing it? Fucking guy's, half my age.
It is crazy. Then we have
I got him winning the fight.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat just because of the well-roundedness, and if he wants to wrestle, he can wrestle. Then we have Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira, a wrestler versus grappler. Bo Nickel obviously coming off that loss to RDR, kind of, I don't want to say a fraud check or embarrassing because now here's RDR who might be fighting for a title very soon. So all of a sudden, with RDR's success after the Bo Nickel win, it's not the most embarrassing loss in the world. Bo Nickel made some rookie mistakes in that fight, though, like jumping guard. And when he jumped guard, he ended up on his back, and RDR was like, oh, the ground the difference is crazy. I'm just going to get this fight to the ground. But I think Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira is a phenomenal bounce-back fight for Bo Nickel. I think it's a phenomenal because Rodolfo's striking isn't very good. Bo's isn't great either. Bo's a far better wrestler, and as long as he doesn't jump guard or do some nonsense like that, he should be able to stay safe on top.
I'm a huge Bo Nickel fan. Watching him wrestle at Penn State, I don't think he wins this fight.
How not? You think Rodolfo takes him down?
No,
and
I think Rodolfo outstrikes him. The reason why I said, look, he's not a fantastic striker. I agree with that. Yeah. Outside of Bo Nickel catching him in the first round, I think it just starts to add up. Bo Nickel, if you go back and watch his fight with RDR, I know that RDR is tall, long, lanky, all those things, very difficult to deal with, the knees to the body. But the blueprint's been laid out on how to beat him now. I'm not saying that Vieira can do that. But what I am saying is that he's got a good jab. Vieira has a really good jab. He's good in the clinch. Like if they get into this mix-up, Bo leaves himself out of position all the time on his striking. It's like go for the gusto. He throws the hard 1-2 and leaves himself out of position. I'm not saying that Rodolfo's going to be able to take him down. I don't think that at all. But I think in this fight, Rodolfo has a tendency to slow down later in the fight. So outside of Bo catching him early, Rodolfo, I think, will win rounds 1 and 2. And then can he weather the storm of Bo Nickel? Because I think Bo, to me, honestly, will be able to start pushing the pace. Bo's got a great cardio, fantastic cardio. Now, I know it's not wrestling cardio. This is a fight game. It's definitely different. But I feel like he's the guy that can dig really fucking deep and try to get through this if it comes down to a cardio match. But Bo is, he's got the ginger and the fucking retard strength and all that stuff that comes with being a ginger. Rodolfo Vieira is not a small 185 pounder. He's huge. His physical size, no idea how the hell he makes the weight. Look, I wouldn't say it's a toss. I'm leaning more 70-30 towards Rodolfo Vieira. I 100%, but I'm saying it's 70-30.
Yeah. I'm still gonna stick with the Bo Nickal side. My only hesitation though is while he's a national champion, he's a phenomenal wrestler, he's not like a Jordan Burroughs wrestler. He's not shooting blast doubles right up the
Mhm.
middle. He wants to tie up, clinch, and then drag you to the ground. That gets increasingly harder as you work your way up the division. Everybody's got cage defense. Literally everybody has cage defense at this point. And without shooting doubles right up the middle, it makes it a little trickier. But I do think Bo Nickal, I think he can win this fight. I think it's a fight that's set up well for him because the people who have grappled Rodolfo Vieira have actually had some success. The ones that brought, I'm not afraid of the ground game here. And I don't know if Bo Nickal is afraid of the ground game. His big issue with RDR wasn't that RDR out grappled him. I mean, he did, but it was because Bo Nickal jumped guillotine.
Mhm.
And once he jumped guillotine and ended up on his back, it's like, what are you doing? So I think if he dictates, he moves forward, we don't really have to worry about Rodolfo power. If he moves forward, can tie him up, drag him to the ground, I think he'd have a ton of success. Then we have the Contender Series standout, Susa Karayev versus Eric McConaughey. They kind of just slapped this one together. That dude, the Susa Karayev guy, is the dude who fought on the Contender Series on a Tuesday and that Saturday fought at UFC 319. Just 4 days later, bang, made the weight, got it done. I don't think Eric McConaughey is very good. I was shocked that he beat Cody Brundage, and I think Susa Karayev wins that fight. He's an American top team guy. He's been around forever, can do all the things. My only concern there is that he's insanely hittable. As we saw at UFC 319, he kind of got lit up a little bit, but 4 days, quick turnaround, went from Contender Series to a major pay-per-view. You kind of give him some credit there.
Well, I go back to what I said earlier in this. Like, it comes down to the UFC wants what? They want active fighters. You're already asking for another fight. You want to put you on November 15th. Let's go. And one of my biggest regrets, and you've heard me say this on this show, is that I didn't fight enough. This kid right here is like, no, I have goals. I need to make a lot of money. I need to just be active. I mean, and that may change after he takes a loss, but right now he's on the run. He's on the rise, I should say. He's on the rise. This is a good matchup for him. He's got to utilize his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu and his takedowns and all those things. Unlike he did in the UFC 319 pay-per-view, he didn't do that. He tried to stand, and eventually it worked out for him, but he was getting fucking pieced up. He looked like a goddamn Pez dispenser out there, fucking just fucking the head snapping back. He figured it out. He's got a great chin. Got rocked a couple times in that first round. But look, I think it's a good fight for him.
Yeah, I think that could be an interesting matchup. And then the last one they announced was Angela Hill versus Fatima Klein. Fatima Klein is Aaron Blanchfield's training partner. She's from New York. She fights similar to Blanchfield, except she's a much better striker, but her jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. And then obviously Angela Hill at this point, just a staple of the division. She is 40 years old. She doesn't fight like she's 40, and the UFC continues to use her as sort of the bar for how good these people are. How good is this young prospect? Let him fight Angela Hill and see what happens. Angela Hill's not somebody you're going to get out of there. She's going to be in there for a full 15 minutes. She's got the veteran savvy. I do think Fatima Klein's going to win this fight, but it's always an interesting matchup when you have an Angela Hill versus a young prospect.
Yeah, at her age, it really comes down to she has to dial in her. I know every fighter has to do this, but at 40 years old, you have to dial in your training camp. You're going to have to get rid of some things so you're not overtraining. Your body doesn't get beat up too much. You're going to have to add in different types of nutrition to keep your body pumped and fueled throughout your camp. And then that week of the fight, you're going to have to make sure that your weight is as close as possible to the actual weight limit. So you're not having to struggle to make the weight, because any little thing like that could really ruin your fight at the age of 40. And for her, she can bring it. Her takedown defense has gotten better. Her striking's gotten better. Her striking is a lot more output. She's an all around good fighter. She just hasn't been able to reach the pinnacle yet. She hasn't been able to get there, and she's not going to get there now at 40 years old. But I think this is definitely, like you said, one of those fights where they bring in someone young, somebody that they feel like they can try to build. Can she get past Angela Hill? And if she does, then we can go ahead and start trying to maybe push her a little bit more. But I think, like you said, I don't want to call her a gatekeeper, but she is that test, I think, for all fighters that they want to try to get in there into that mix of the top 10, top 15.
Yeah, and I don't think it's insulting to call her a gatekeeper. A gatekeeper means you're past your prime. You're not going to be vying for a title, but you are good enough that we can use you to measure the rest of the division. I don't think at her age, I don't think that's necessarily a horrible thing. She gets to fight. She gets to fight in a premier organization. She gets to fight at a pretty high level. So we have a brand new main event for UFC Vancouver. We have 5 new fights they announced for UFC 322. Let us know what you think of the Vancouver main event and what you think of these new fights for UFC 322. My name is Angelo. This is Josh Thompson, and that was another Bad Takes.